Hello, this is Cats Diamond Painting. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you joined me here before. I have got a post review for you today, and as you will see from the thumbnail and the title of this video, I have finally finished my longest running project, which was Outside the Sweetshop by the artist Helkoryo from Diamond Art Studio. I got this project back in 2023, I think. It came out. They weren't necessarily expecting it to be as popular as it was, so it sold out fairly quickly. But I guess a few of us, I mean, I'm speaking for others, certainly I looked at it the first time around and thought, I'm not sure I fancy working on a kit with that many colours, because this baby has 197 colours. It is the first of Diamond Art Studio's max colour kits. They've brought out several since then. So yeah, I wasn't that interested at first. And then the people who had bought it in that first wave started putting up videos or pictures, and yeah, I needed it. So I bought it in 2023. I started working on it, I think it was the start of February 2024, and it's been a long one. Finished in October 2025. I don't think a kit has ever taken me quite that long before, but it was kind of by design. I always anticipated this being a long-term project, even though it's only 60 by 80 centimeters. Anyway, that's enough waffling. Let me show you it, and then I will talk you through everything properly. So here it is. Ta-da! And if you have watched any of my quarterly reviews, you will have seen a lot of this already many times because it has popped up repeatedly. Let me show you the top as well. Sorry, that weird noise, if you can hear it, is the scalloped edge running along the edge of my light stand. Hi, Charlie. Yeah, isn't it absolutely gorgeous? Can I come out a little further even? Oh yeah, there you go. So now you can probably just about, well, you would be able to see it in one go, but Charlie's come to play. Oh, Charlie, see, he doesn't like walking on diamond paintings. It obviously feels odd under his paws, so he's doing his little paw shake. There we go. So here it is in all its glory. And yeah, it has appeared in many quarterly review videos because I was working on this row by row, and often it might be put away for several months at a time, and then I'd have a bit of a flurry of activity. And the thing that I thought might happen did happen, which is that when I got towards the end, when the end was in sight, I felt really motivated to carry on. So I actually did a lot more of it in a shorter space of time than I had done for the rest of the kit. This is still, to this day, one of Diamond Art Studio's most popular kits. It is currently in stock. I checked before I came on to film. So you can grab it currently if you like the look of it. And if you do purchase, feel free to use my affiliate code if you would like to save 10%. It retails for about £70, so you can get it for about £63 in the UK. Obviously, if you are international, prices will vary when it goes into your currency. Shipping is free in the UK. There are charges for international shipping, but yeah, you can get all that information on their website. But if you would like to get the 10% discount with my affiliate code, then it is just CAT10, CAT10. Let me talk you through how I tackled this project, because it really was a project unlike any other that I have done so far in my diamond painting journey. First of all, setup. What I did was I invested in one of these really big art dot cases. This has got 240 spaces. It's 3 trays of 80 round bottle, storage kits. That's one of my little trash drill pots that fell out. So there's one up here, and then the bottom opens up and there's another 2 stacked on top of each other. And if you are tackling a max color kit like this, I really highly recommend investing in some storage that will work well for it. I really liked having it all in one tray. I could arrange this quite easily in my workspace, so I would have this sat on the chair next to me. I would have a tray in the bottom, and then I would have another tray sort of sitting in the lid, and then I would have one more tray on the table next to me because all 3 trays were in use. It wasn't that cheap, the storage. I think it did cost me something like £50, so it definitely was an investment. But it's not like it's only going to be used for this project, you know. Any kit that comes up to 80 colours, I could use it one tray at a time, so I could have 3 kits potentially kitted up at once, or whatever works. But yeah, this is going to get plenty of use, believe me. So yeah, I invested in this, and then actually I had a friend come over and she was working on it as well, and we were kitting up together with our own different methods. So I filled it all in, you know, I used the stickers that they provided, and put all the colours in the pots, which it was a mission. It did take hours. Not gonna lie. 197 colours do not get kitted up quickly. And then I had to kind of decide how I was going to arrange them, because, oh, the lid's almost off on that one. Normally when I do a kit, I tend to just keep them in whatever order they come in, which is typically DMC order. But I knew for this one I would need a bit more of a system, because it's easy enough when you're dealing with 40, 50, 60 colours, whatever it might be, to kind of mentally remember where each colour is in your storage tray and reach for it. Not so much with 197. So yeah, I came up with my own system. I think I lost the piece of paper that I wrote it on, because I originally tried to do it in rainbow colours. So I, you know, like all the reds, then all the oranges, then all the yellows and so on. And then I guess other colours that aren't in the rainbow I would have done at the end. And what I discovered is that my brain is far too literal for something like that, because I got way too caught up in the in-betweens, you know, like, I don't know, pick a colour, any colour. It's not a great example because I would say this is quite a brown, but like a shade a bit like this, I might have been looking at and going, oh, is it like a mustardy yellow or is it a brown? Where do I put it? And I kept having these debates with myself, and then I thought, this isn't going to work, Kat, because if you're thinking about it like that now while you're kitting up, you're going to have that little debate about where to look for it every time you work on it. So I just went with symbol types in the end. Let me show you if I open this up. Oh, there's my release paper. So I did numbers, then I did letters, then I did numerical symbols. And some of it is just, you know, it's what made sense in my head. Like I did this as a numerical symbol, thinking of it like a division symbol. It might mean something different to you. And there were ticks, and then there was arrows, and then I went into shapes. So there were all the triangles, then all the circles, then all the squares. And then I think this was the next tray after that. So then I went into less common shapes. So I had hearts and diamonds, and then there were dots and lines, and you get the picture. And then by the end of it, I just had the kind of random ones that I couldn't really fit in a category. But that was then just that smaller tray there, so it was quite easy to manage. So yeah, it worked. It worked pretty well. I started off with them written down on a list, which I had next to me so that I could see all the different categories and work out where things might be. And then reasonably quickly, I did just get used to where things were, where different categories were, and could find the drills quite easily. Sorry, by the way, if you hear lots of scampering feet beneath me. Charlie and Harry are kind of charging around. They've got the zoomies. Yeah, so that was how I went about it. Let me just move this out of the way. Honestly, if you could see Charlie, the way he's just flinging himself around the room at speed. Oh dear. And then the other kind of feature of how I went about this was how I literally went about diamond painting it. So I work on an easel, as you may know already, because of neck and back pain. I can't diamond paint flat for very long, so I do basically everything on an easel. I worked on it sideways, which is pretty typical for me. I'm used to turning my paintings sideways because that's how they fit best on the easel. You know, it's an A2 easel, so I could do a height-wise strip along it without having to move it. I did smaller strips and sections than I usually do. I will usually use a 10 by 15 centimetre piece of release paper and do most of, if not all of that as a section. And I cut those in half for this project. So I was doing half of that, whatever that might be. What is that, like 5 by 7.5 centimetres? And sometimes with the really intense confetti sections, I might even do less than that at a time. The way I do my sectioning is I do it row by row. So I have a buffer row of narrow strips of release paper, and then the strip below that I'm going to work on, and I have the release paper spread across that. So if I look at it and think, I'm not going to do that all in one go, I will just move the release paper accordingly. Hey Charlie, hello baby boy. People keep saying Charlie's like my mascot, and he is, because he's my little shadow. He likes to follow me around and have a nose at whatever I'm doing, as you can see. So I did small sections, and right from the outset I knew this was a project that I wasn't going to be putting myself under any pressure to finish quickly. I really enjoy confetti in a painting, you know, when you're changing the colour of drills in your tray. But like a lot of people, I get burned out of it. I am a big believer in having as many whips, as many works in progress as you need to have on the go to keep yourself satisfied. If I don't feel like working on any of the kits that I've got going, I will kit up another. And it tends to cap out at 5 or 6. I've got less than that at the moment. But that's what works for me. And then I pretty much always come back to them. There's only ever been one I've given up on. So I knew that this was going to be one that I was going to do bit by bit by bit. And I started out sort of every time I had a break from another project, I would try and do a row. And then there was quite a long period in the middle where I wasn't getting to it for ages. Like I think all of last autumn, for instance, I didn't do it for several months because I was focusing on seasonal pieces and so on and so forth. And then this year, I think I've done, considering I started almost at the beginning of 2024 and now we're, you know, coming towards the end of 2025, I think I did probably about half in each year, but that was weighted more towards the beginning, more towards the end, and then a very slow progress in the middle, if that makes any kind of sense. And I went with my feels, you know, if I didn't feel like tackling this project, then I would not work on it. At that point, I would wait until I got the bug for it, and then I would get it out. I would really enjoy the intensity of the confetti and the challenge that provided for a little bit of time. And then usually by the end of the row, I'd think, yeah, I want a break. I want to do something else now. So that is what worked really well for me, was just making it very low pressure, very accepting of the fact it was going to take a long time. And yeah, I got there, and I'm so chuffed that it is done, and that I feel like I've really accomplished something with this one, because it was a bit of a challenge, you know. Like, if I move my little sidekick here and zoom you in a little bit, like, look at the intensity of the confetti around here. I mean, to be honest, it's quite hard to even see it looking at it, because where you see a red section, there might be several shades of red, for instance. But I think you get the gist of it. It's definitely a painting that needs to be viewed at a little bit of a viewing distance, because up close it can be a little bit pixelated. I'd love to know the thought process of why they decided to chart this with 197 colours, because I know that the owner Sam has said that it started out being, they kind of thought it might be a bit of a gimmick. They thought, oh, this will appeal to some people, but probably not that many. So it's an offering, but they were surprised when it took off. So yeah, I'd love to know how they came to the decision to render it that way originally. But anyway, isn't it beautiful? My favourite part has to be the bottom, I think, with the way the rendering perfectly captures that effect of light shining on a wet pavement. Oh, it's so pretty. I just think the artist is so talented. Helkoryo has done such beautiful pieces. I have a couple of other ones in my stash. So, what else have I got to say? Yeah, the confetti, as I have already touched on, was super intense throughout the majority of the project. There were sections... Oh, Charlie's left some fur behind for me. There were sections of colour blocking, particularly the black. And actually, this is the end I finished on, and this last section, part of what kind of gave me the oomph to go for it and get it done, was there was more blocking than usual in this last section, so that did go a bit quicker. But it had a lot of confetti. Like these middle sections, which actually were the ones that took me the longest, as I said, which probably makes sense, they were so chock-a-block full of like the most intense confetti I'd ever done. So it really explains why maybe I felt a bit burned out and needed a break at the end of each row and then didn't go back to it that quickly. I'll put a picture up now that I took, and it was towards the end of the project, and it wasn't one of the most intense patches of confetti in the piece. Those would probably be here and maybe up there and there. But it gives you an idea, because I think the completed picture, because of the fact there could be multiple shades of the same colour, you can't necessarily see quite how much confetti there was. So having a look at the unpainted canvas gives you an idea. What else do I have to say? Okay, so a few points about my experience with working on it. I did have quite a lot of trash drills for a kit of this size. As I think I said earlier, it is 60 by 80 centimetres, so it's a big kit, but it's not humongous. So this pot is the one I started with, and as you can see, it is totally full. No, I knew that would happen. And then I actually, oh, Charlie, I had to start a new one. There's not so much in there. Oh, where's it gone? I think that was all. So there's just a little bit in that. It was mostly the black drills, I would say. The black drills, as is often the case. 310 is just endlessly problematic, isn't it? And there were a few uneven ones, tabs, holes, all of that. I always like to caveat this and say, you know, I am super fussy when it comes to drill quality. I will discard anything that has tabs or anything like that is going to make it not fit. Also, anything with little holes, even in colours you might not see, because they freak me out because I have trypophobia. And also just like drills that I drop as I'm diamond painting, if I collect them up, they tend to go in the pots. So my trash drill pots are always more full, generally speaking, than someone else working on the same project. And I see people work on kits and say, oh, I didn't have any trash drills. I had like maybe 5 in the whole kit. And I have never in my entire diamond painting experience had less than, say, half a pot of trash drills. So yeah, it was a little more than the average that I'm used to, but I am super fussy. So I just like to stress that. I did run very low on several colours, but that's kind of part and parcel, isn't it? You know, the way diamond painting companies work it is that they decide on a percentage of extra drills they're going to provide for each colour, so that you can account for the drills that you've dropped and the trash drills and all of that kind of thing. When you've got 197 colours across a 60 by 80 centimetre piece, you know straight away some of those colours are going to have very few drills across the kit. And if your starting point is that there's only a few drills, then if you add 10 or 20% or whatever it is they're working to, you still only have a small number of drills. So when your pot is running really low and it feels a bit daunting, it doesn't necessarily mean they've shorted you on drills. It just means there were never that many drills in the kit. But it is nerve-wracking when you're coming up towards the end of a kit and you're like, am I going to have enough? There were a couple of colours that I was counting them up and making sure that I had enough. It wouldn't have been the end of the world, because Diamond Art Studio will send you extra drills if you need them, but it's a pain, isn't it? So it's always nice to finish. And it's just always a nice tick of quality that, yes, I did in fact have enough to finish the piece. So they judged that well, despite my fussiness. You know, when you see all the drills I rejected, I still had enough to finish the piece. Another thing that I think was probably quite a unique challenge to this kind of painting was that it did take me a little while to learn how to recognise some of the symbols that were on my storage pots on the paintings. So let me see if I can show you this. Let me find one that would be a good example. As an example of what I mean, when you're dealing with a painting like this, where by necessity, because there are only so many alphabetical and numerical symbols and all the easy, obvious ones that can be used, they have to branch out into some more adventurous symbols. So, for example, this one that has a little BL on it. That is obviously quite a bit bigger than that space is going to be on the diamond painting. By the time that you have shrunk that down, you know, any symbol that really fills the space quite well, by the time that you have shrunk that down to the size it needs to be for the kit, it has lost some clarity with the best will in the world. Add to that the fact that I was working sideways, which is a me thing, but, you know, quite a common thing. There were just some that for a while, it took me a bit of time to recognize what they look like on the canvas. Because yeah, this wasn't as clear once shrunk down and on its side. So yeah, I think this colour was the one that I pulled out as an example because I particularly remember that when I started, I could not find it for a while. And then I realised what was going on. So that was a process and just an extra part of challenge that I had for this particular kit, was just matching those up. The printing was very clear. It's not that there was an issue with it. It's just that the more detailed symbols are really hard to replicate as clearly on the canvas as, you know, your obvious 1, 2, 3, 4s and that kind of thing. And there were a lot of those more detailed adventurous symbols. The other thing that I had to adapt to was just having a lot of similar colour symbols. So for example, if I take out these 3 to look at, if the camera will focus. So all arrows, all in this printing style of an outline and then an inner space, all in a sort of variation of beige or brown. And then I was working sideways. So I did a lot of kind of turning my pot sideways to match the canvas as I was working, just to make sure that I was getting the right ones, because otherwise I think I would have made a few mistakes. There did also seem to be a slight tendency that when a symbol was quite similar to another one on the canvas, it often, as luck would have it, turned out to be in a similar colour as well. So it just added a little bit of complexity to telling them apart. Honestly, I liked the challenge. I quite enjoyed that. I think I made a couple of slip-ups early on and had to self-correct. I know these 2 got me at one point. You have 2 arrows as well, like that. Oh, camera, focus on the right thing. Come on, it's not focused on anything currently. That's not helpful. So both arrows on a green background. And again, I'm working sideways. So yeah, it was all good fun and games. Let me tell you that. It was a challenge, but I was expecting that when I took on this project. So all in all, I had a really fabulous time with this project, and it took me so long that you might think that means that I wasn't enjoying it and had to force myself, but I cannot stress enough how intentional that was and how that was actually what allowed me to enjoy it, because I guarantee you, if I had pushed myself to do it quicker, I would have burned out and I would have not wanted to diamond paint it anymore. So yeah, thankfully that never happened. I never did burn out of it. I had breaks when I needed to, and yeah, would I tackle another challenge like this? I mean, I have others in my stash, so I definitely hope to get to those one day. I think it would take me a while to get round to another on this scale. Just the sheer effort of the kitting up and the kitting down I'm going to have to do to use these storage pots. That is on a scale that is daunting. You know, I don't particularly enjoy those processes. So I don't think I'm going to do another one anytime soon. I do feel like since this came out, a lot of companies have kind of shifted the game a bit. When this came out, it was quite typical that you'd have like 50, 60 colours, maybe 70 colours was becoming a bit more common. Nowadays, there are so many kits by so many of the shops that I like to at least browse in, if not shop with, that are frequently bringing out kits with 100 or so colours. This goes beyond that. This is max colour. This is 197 colours. But the difference between this and what is now quite common, and what that difference was when this came out, is less than it was. I feel like a lot of kits that are not being billed as having a lot of colours, as being anything out of the ordinary, could take me half as long to kit up. They might have 90 something colours. So part of it is just a shift in diamond painting and a shift in how shops are rendering things. But yeah, that's the one thing I do not enjoy, kitting up and kitting down a project this big with this many colours, particularly when you've got good quality resin drills, so you've generally got at least some static to play with. Yeah, it's going to take me a little while, but I absolutely would do another project like this at some point in the future. And I'm considerably less daunted than I would have been of those ones around the 100 mark. And I know I've got quite a lot of those in my stash actually. So I think this has helped to prepare me for thinking of those kits as quite moderate, where, you know, they would have scared me at the start of my diamond painting journey. I hope that makes sense. So I think that is enough waffling from me, but yeah, I'm really proud of myself for this one, you know. I'm proud that I got there, that my slow but steady system of tackling this worked out and allowed me to really enjoy it. And I think it looks fabulous. I think it is a really pretty, unique, obviously just abundantly colourful piece of diamond painting that I have enjoyed. So yeah. Thank you to Diamond Art Studio for introducing us to your Max Colour kits and the wonderful artist Helkoryo. This has been a blast. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed taking a look at this with me. You might be pleased that it won't be popping up in quarterly reviews anymore if you're not so keen on it. Actually, I say that, but it's going to appear in the next one, isn't it? Because that will be for this quarter. And then the one after that will be my year in review. So scratch that. You're going to see it again. But yeah, not in this much depth again. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please consider dropping a like on it. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, I'd love to have you stick around. So please consider doing that too. And I will hopefully see you again soon. Bye bye.